Hey, what's up, people? Twisted people. Welcome to the show. We're talking Loki, episode 3 from Disney Plus. I am Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted Woman CKR, and I am joined here by my handsome co-host, my brother from the same mother, Damon Robinson, Damon Droc Robinson, who is also a member of the Fried Disciples. He's half of the dynamic urban loving duo, this Fried Disciples.
Fried Disciples, blazing through culture.
They'll be having an upcoming little mini series going on where they're tackling Cobra Kai soon enough. We'll give you those exact dates when we know the exact dates, and you all can hang with them if you like Cobra Kai. I am also someone who does things, as you know, because you're here, and we are always appreciative of you all that join us here. Those of you who are joining us in the live chat, it's always a pleasure. What's up, Tony? Thank you for being here, for being Tony Movie Chappie. Thanks for being with us here today. And all of you who are joining us in the replay as well. Michael Damian, the other side of Fried Disciples, is also joining us in the chat as well. And so, we have a few things to talk about. I mean, this episode of Loki 3, this is the midway point. One could argue a mid-season, not finale, because this is every week. I think we have about 6 episodes of this season, right? So it's what was that, Damon?
Why are they going so short? It's like, what, we went...
Well, it costs money to make these episodes. They basically make it Marvel movies.
What, they went... what, how many episodes was Wanda? 10, right?
Wanda was it 10? I felt like it was 9.
All right, it was 9. What's the name was 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now this is 6. So I guess the next one come out only going to be 4.
Well, the next one is Miss Marvel.
Yeah, it's only going to be 4.
No, that's a teen show, so they'll probably.
I'm just like, why are they getting so shorter? Only 6 episodes of this?
Yeah, I believe it's 6. I think that's what it was. Let me see. Let me make sure so I'm not. I feel like it's 6. Looks like it might just be 5. I don't know. I'm looking. If y'all know, let us know in the chat for sure. I feel like I heard that it was 6 episodes. That's what I heard.
Well, they need to throw in a couple of 2-hour episodes or something.
2-hour episodes. I mean,
hour and a half.
The thing is, we know that he's gonna be. I mean, we don't know, but this is also part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, I mean, there's also the thing of, do you need 10 episodes of that when maybe they're telling a very succinct story? And yes, I just verified it from their Wikipedia page, but hopefully it says Loki premiered on June 9th and will consist of 6 episodes. So yes, it is a 6-episode season. So we are now at the midway point of Loki. So I don't know. It's kind of weird because I felt like with WandaVision, for those of you who have joined us on the WandaVision show, we had 9 episodes, and I felt like maybe the first 3 or 4 it was building up with little things here. And now with Falcon and Winter Soldier, I felt like it was building up throughout. And with this, it's interesting. We did get a big reveal. We definitely got a big reveal with this one. We got a big reveal in the sense of the origin of the TVA, the time variant people. One that I feel like I have been validated, because I feel like for the past 2 live streams, well, the first 2 episodes, I have been trying to figure out the origin of those who work at the TVA. And I brought this up because I was like, where do they come from? Because the guy who is the one that works at the front desk was like, what's a fish? He never knew any of that stuff, right? So it's kind of like, are they born there? Are they created for the TVA? And online, I think, in looking this up, I think that there was, there was kind of a thought process that, people just kind of accepted that people were created for the TVA. And I just didn't register to me for this show. I was just like, something's off here, because in particular, because of Ravonna was pretty much why I thought it was off. Because I'm like, either these characters have a life before this or they don't. and you don't bring in Ravonna, and it's like, what, she's going to become a princess, a Time Kemper princess after this? You know, that's a lot to kind of establish with the character. So the thing had to be that she was somehow this before she got there. Now, whether or not she knows she was this before she got there, we don't know. And that's what we're talking about today, because I feel like this episode, although a lot didn't happen in the sense of like, first of all, it was a shorter episode, right? It was like, it felt like it was only like a half an hour, I felt like. Yeah. Because I started it, it was like only 30 minutes in and it was already the credits, which was very surprising to me because I was like, okay, we got like 30 more minutes and then the credits came up. So I was like, okay, this is a shorter episode, but it does crack open the potential for a lot of theories that are going on, which we'll get into. But first, we want to ask you all in the live chat and those of you who are watching in the replay, what grade would you give this episode? Would you give it an A? Would you give it a B, a C, and why? And I'm going to let Damon kind of kick us off because you weren't feeling the last episode all that much. You liked the first one. You were kind of so-so on the second one. How are you feeling about this third one, Damon?
Don't get me wrong. I liked it the second one. It wasn't completely awful. I just didn't think it was less to be desired than the first one. This one was all right to me too. It was I wouldn't give it an A or A plus. I'd give this one a B plus. You know, it kind of answered some of the questions. So what you just was touching on about where we think the people from the thing comes from, or where they're from. You know, this episode also it showed us that the little I guess spoiler alert we had last week was true, but that also showed me that Marvel they basically I guess being when you own something you get to do what you want, so they go about things the way they feel they want to, no matter how the comic books went. You know, they work it in their way, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, because for those of you who had joined us in the live stream last week, thank you for that, and also the replay. We had a big talk about who this female Loki was, and there was a little bit of a slip in the credits for one of the foreign language episode credits that called her Sylvie. It wasn't like female Loki or anything like that. And that made the internet be like, oh my gosh, does this mean she's not really a Loki? She's an enchantress. And we talked about who Enchantress was and things like that. And what we ended up finding out wasn't so much that she was Enchantress, is this that she picked an alias name. And we'll talk about what that actually means, because she may end up becoming something of an Enchantress at the end, right? Because that's how Marvel wants to do it. And they've done this before where they combine characters, right? Where Bucky ended up becoming White Wolf, right? And White Wolf is actually T'Challa's adopted, I think, son or brother in the comic books. But what they did in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they made Bucky White Wolf. Well, they combined it.
They called him White Wolf.
Who else they gonna call White Wolf? They combined it.
I would love to see them do something with him as White Wolf.
I know, but I'm using this as an example that of what Marvel has a tendency sometimes to do, where you think, oh, there's going to be a reveal, but in reality, they're just kind of combining the characters. As the Bucky is also White Wolf, and we know in the comic, White Wolf is someone completely different. This female Loki, might end up becoming who we know as Enchantress, right? So that'll also be interesting.
The second Enchantress.
Well, I don't think we had an Enchantress in Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm talking about Sylvie. I get what you're saying. Me, I always come from the comic book aspect of it. So in the comic book, she is the second.
Yes, Sylvie is the second, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she would be the first and probably only. So, I mean, this is where we're seeing them possibly going. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Those of you in the chat, thanks for, joining us. You seem to be having loved this episode. Mistress 9 is saying it was definitely more entertaining than the last episode.
A person that takes from my view of it, that second episode, it left a little to be desired.
I enjoyed the second episode, so I'm fine with both of them. Bannon, thanks for joining us. Ray is saying, I think it was merchandising too, and something in the Spanish market with the name. That it was also merchandising. That might have also said that, but it was definitely in the credits that the foreign language credits had it, so she was listed as Sylvie, which was something that wasn't revealed until the third episode of the Sylvie thing. Tony is saying that could be a possibility. I can definitely see that happen with the Sylvie character, that she might become Enchantress. Bannon is saying, yes, the MCU likes to shake up and twist the comic characters and storylines. Yeah. And that's for better or worse, right? I mean, they only have but so much they can do. With the comic books, you got so many different comics coming out every week and every month that you got so many other stuff you can cover. While in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you kind of have to streamline it a little bit. So I can understand why they do that occasionally. Although everyone might not love that. Bannon is saying, so far I loved all 3 episodes. They are all above average. Yeah.
See, I don't mind them. This the thing. Not that they don't go out of their way to make sure they're telling the complete storyline on the people who they deem as big characters compared to the people they deem as little characters. But when you're a comic book head, all characters are characters. Some people actually love these people, these little characters who they look at as small or they're just side characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But a lot of these people, in comic book world, they all have their own comics. So they're
does Enchantress have her own comics?
I mean, she
I don't think she has her own comics.
But I'm talking about if they were to take Lady Loki away and just say that, okay, she's Lady Loki and Enchantress.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see. I mean, and then this might be a question for those of you who are in the chat and in the replay. If you're a Marvel comic book head, I'm more of a DC comic book person myself, but I do read Marvel comics as well. I have the subscription of both of them on my app, on my phone. Do you like the fact that they are streamlining some of these characters, or would you have preferred that they kept them kind of separated in some of these instances? For one, am worried about the way the X-Men, whenever they eventually get to them, are going to look like, and which version of the X-Men Marvel is going to end up taking in, and what that's going to look like for MCU. I will say, as an X-Men fan, I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see. And also She-Hulk. I think we'll have to see how they do She-Hulk, because that's their upcoming TV series after Ms. Marvel, but that'll be coming out in 2022. So this is I guess they could, because it's not a movie. It wouldn't be his own movie. Because I wonder if we're gonna get like a Hulk cameo or Bruce Banner. He's listed. He's listed in the She-Hulk thing, so I think we'll definitely see him.
Honestly, you would have to see that, because to explain who She-Hulk is and how she's relevant, you would need to get Bruce Banner in there.
Yeah, he'll definitely make a cameo. So what was the grade you said you would give this episode, Damon?
I gave it a B+.
Okay. Yeah, I give this episode a solid B. I actually liked episode 2 a little bit better than this episode. Mainly only because I felt like it was a little not predictable. The TVA reveal was not predictable, but the dynamic between the two Lokis, although I enjoyed it, they definitely have chemistry. I kind of got sibling, maybe I don't think they can do a romance with these two characters, because they're two versions of each other. That would be so narcissistic if they ended up doing that. But I definitely saw the chemistry and the dynamic between them. And I like that, because that was very much what this episode relied on. But it was, to me, very slim on moving anything forward. And given that you only have 6 episodes of a season, I just feel like it was a little weird that the whole episode was focused on the two of them. We didn't see anything that was going on with Mobius or anything like that with that breach. And I'm just like, this is the midpoint. I guess we needed to take that pause to get to know that dynamic. But at the same time, we didn't really get to know Sylvie at all. You know, we got a little bit of aspect of her, but if this is going to be an episode where you focus in on her and Loki the whole episode, I just was hoping for a little bit more. And it was quite surprising to me that this episode was also the shortest, given, I mean, the funny thing is with WandaVision, the episodes consistently started getting longer and longer. You know what I mean? You had 25 minutes, you had 30 minutes, you had 40 minutes. Then by the end of it, each episode was an hour. And it was just kind of weird to me for a midway point where things are changing that we got a 30-minute episode. I was like, is that what? Why is this 30 minutes? This is the third episode. The first episode should have been 30 minutes if you were going to do that, right? So I would give it a solid B, because I just felt like I wanted a little bit more. And maybe that's just simply because it was a shorter episode. And I just wondered, with only 6 episodes, I don't really think you can afford to have a 30-minute, especially in the midway point. It doesn't feel like the midway point, and it should have felt like the midway point, and it didn't. I think that was my main issue with it. But I definitely give it a solid B. I didn't hate it. I still think this is I still think this is a great series so far. And that reveal pretty much saved it for me. I probably would have given it a slightly lower had there not been that reveal about the TVA too, as well.
Yeah.
Because I would have been like, okay, all that and that is that.
I was kind of all. It wasn't. I get it. It was sort of a reveal. It wasn't really a reveal to me because I kind of figured that already. I told you from the last episode.
Okay, sir.
No. I'm just saying.
It wasn't really a reveal for me because I figured it out.
No, I mean I figured we all did the last episode from what.
Well, I was saying that. That's what I said. That this definitely validated what I was trying to get at with C20. C20, and how when she said I want to go home, and I said, what's home for her? Because home isn't a TVA. Clearly home was something else. And I said, what does that mean? Does that mean all of them have been taken from some place that they used to know? And I think we were also questioning on whether or not it was voluntary. Some people were saying, well, maybe it's voluntary. Maybe they live in their home planet and they volunteer. I think you actually said that, Damon. You said something about them volunteering. Someone said something like that, where it was like they had a life, but then they volunteered and maybe they chose to be enlisted in it. And then I said, well, what about the guy who said that all he didn't even know what a fish was? These people don't seem to know their lives before anything.
No, I said they were because they were cloned. They were in the comics originally. They're clones.
Yeah.
So that's what I was harping on. How I thought they should have been clones. But you know, like I said, being that they're different gender, different nationalities, you could tell they're not, that they threw the clone thing out the window.
Yeah. And we see why with this episode. Michael Damian is saying adapting literature to the screen is hard. And with all of the options they had to go with, they have to unfortunately leave a lot of good stuff out or merge it. That's a good point. Mistress 9 is saying yes and no with the changes. Like there was no reason to call Bucky White Wolf.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason was because they want to probably incorporate him more into.
Oh, the reason was because he was a white guy in Wakanda.
But you get what I'm saying? They know Marvel Comics. White Wolf is literally T'Challa's adopted son. So why do that?
We already know that they take liberties. Mm-hmm. They've been doing that forever. They take their own liberties. They made look. They just because we're talking about Loki, they took his daughter from the comics. Made her his sister. Yeah. And she tried to take over Asgard with that Thor 3. Yeah. Ragnarok. Hela is really in the comics, that's Loki's daughter. Mm-hmm. But it became Thor's big sister. Yeah. You know, it's a lot of stuff in the comic books with Thor, you know. But like I said, Marvel takes their liberties and do what they do with these comics, switching them around. I mean, I can't complain. I can't say it haven't made a good storyline because they do. It does. You know? Tony Movie is saying, I love WandaVision up until the finale, which I honestly don't think they really stuck the landing. I find it to be very disappointing. I think they left it open. That's because we all wanted a bigger. We wanted bigger. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Tony. Yeah. I think we all wanted a bigger thing, and we ended up getting. Agatha. We all wanted a bigger bad than Agatha. And the only reason we wanted that because we know in the comic books, Agatha, she's not really bad.
Yeah. Mistress 9 is saying, I was wicked mad at the Wanda ending. She enslaved the whole town and got away with it. Yes, that is very true. She did. Although I kind of understood why it happened. And they seem resentful of her. So, I mean, who knows? Okay. So I give it a B. You gave it a B plus, Damon, this episode 3. So let's talk about what actually happened in this episode. And the question I want to pose for all of you who are watching in the live chat is always greatly appreciated. And those of you who are joining us in the replay is, who do you think the big bad is of this season? Do you think there's a big bad? With only 6 episodes, maybe there is no big bad. Maybe this is just kind of a midway point to a bigger thing. But do you think there's a big bad? Because originally when the female Loki, or Sylvie, I should say, I should call her Sylvie now, was in the cloak of darkness, everyone thought this was going to be a big reveal of something, some bigger thing. And now we see that Sylvie may be more of an anti-hero, right? She may be just like Loki is. So that then leaves us with, who is the real villain of this season? And I want to ask you all, I mean, we're going to talk about it too, but who do you think is the big reveal? Who is the big villain of this season? Michael Damian is already saying it's Mephisto, but he's saying he's just kidding. He's taking it from Damon's cue for WandaVision. Saying it was Mephisto.
One of these days, we're going to have to just let that go.
No, Damon, you had it the whole time, and it will forever hang over your head, sir. Mistress 9 is saying it's Ralph. Okay. Maybe it's Ralph. Bannon say, I think there is, but I don't think it is Sylvie. I think it is the TVA or someone behind the TVA. I don't even know who that is. Who is Ralph? Okay.
Ralph. Who is Ralph?
Who is Ralph? I think they named Ralph, didn't they? Who is Ralph?
Ralph Boner.
Mm-hmm.
who you thought was Quicksilver?
Well, they clearly were doing that to bait and switch. So
just like they did by actually saying that girl was Loki.
No, it's not bait and switch though. She is a Loki. They just combined her with, she is, Damon. They literally are just combining her with an enchantress. I think we'll talk about it, but I feel like I can guess where they're taking this character. Damon, I know you want to try to distract people from the fact that you thought it was Mephisto the whole time of WandaVision.
No, I'm not trying to distract from that. I'm just saying, is she a Loki?
I think she is a Loki.
But look, even in this episode, she said, is that what a Loki? She asked him, is that what a Loki would do? So is she a Loki?
I think she is. I think what she was really getting on was how she was brought up. Because when she was talking to our Loki, she was saying about, oh, they didn't tell you were adopted. And she's like, yeah, they told me from the beginning. So very much she is Loki. But I think, like she was pointing out, that the TVA had always been after her. I think she's been dealing with them for a long time. And because of that, maybe she doesn't feel like she wants to be considered a Loki anymore. So and she even said that she uses Sylvie as an alias. So I think she might want to separate from her life, but I think she very much is a Loki.
We got to see about that.
I think she's very much a Loki. I think they very much.
I'm wondering. Like is our Loki like is the Loki's different in every timeline, like from where they come from and everything?
Well, I think there's parallels, but because even when they were talking at the booth, they were like, he was like, wait a minute, they told you were adopted? She's like, yeah, they told me I was adopted from the beginning. And that tells me they had a very similar story in different ways. And she even says, like, you know, I don't really remember my mother because it was blips, but because she was curious how Loki's mom was. And I think that's because they might have had the same, you know, mother, but she didn't ever get to know her mother. So that's why I don't think they would have put that scene in if she wasn't a Loki. Because why would she care?
Because she doesn't see herself as a god. So does that mean that it's
also different upbringing? She said you were a prince, right? Yeah.
That's why I asked. Like, are these Lokis different in everything?
I think they might be.
Is he only the Norse god Loki, and every other Loki is something else?
Well,
Like,
we saw it.
Loki?
Some of those Lokis were like orgs. Other ones looked like snakes and stuff. So they could be from, I mean, depending on what world they were in, they could have been totally different. Maybe one of them is a Loki that never got adopted into Asgard. Maybe they stayed on their planet. I think it's always kind of like Lokis that ended up in different kind of ways. And so that's why I say she's Loki, but maybe she also is just tired of being considered a variant. So she's like, you know, I'm someone different. You know, I'm not who they say I am. But what, like once you said, Damon, like we're going to see as it unfolds who she really is. Although I do think she's a variation of a Loki. Michael Damon is saying, what if it's Owen Wilson's character who is the big bad? You wouldn't expect it. Bannon is saying, I kind of agree with Damon. I think there is more to her. I think maybe she was, but has evolved into another person. So I guess you both are right. That's what I'm saying. I think she started out as a Loki, but maybe in everything that has happened to her, she has become a different person. Hence why, I'll just say it now, I think that's why she's eventually going to become the Enchantress. I think that's her. I think that's where they're going with this character. So she's not a female Loki walking around. She's more like, I am so different. I use enchantment. They were really emphasizing that. I want to call myself the Enchantress. I will be the Enchantress now. I won't be Loki, because I feel what we might end up seeing is that the two of them survive, right? Let's say that happens and they want to exist. Well, she's not going to want to walk around her world being female Loki and he's male Loki. It would make sense when she'd be like, I don't even like that name. I think I'm just going to go with Enchantress to be to get a fresh start.
I mean, I can see that somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, it's you know, the thing that gets me is it's not how I would prefer it to go.
Well, yes, Damon. How would you prefer it to go?
I would prefer it to for it to go how it is in the comics.
How can it do that? There's so many timelines in the comics. For her to exist, wouldn't Loki have to not be there?
I mean, for what? For Sylvia to exist?
For our female Loki to have her kind of plot lines, right?
I mean, but this is what I'm saying. I don't think she's going to be the female Loki.
I don't think she is going to be the female. I think they're making her Enchantress.
Yeah, if they're going to make her Enchantress, make her the right way. Why couldn't it be?
What's the right way?
The right way could have been that the Loki that was from her world gave her the power to make her Enchantress, and maybe he got killed and she's avenging him or something.
That could be the twist. Maybe at the end of the day, she tells him.
I don't think that's the twist, though.
Okay. I mean, it would be interesting if they did go that route where she said, well, actually, I'm not Loki. I'm Loki's daughter from that time. That, you know, and that's why I never got to know my mother. Or
he just, you know, gave her the power because he's not her father.
One of the comic books, she says that's her.
No, Hela is she's not his father. He just
in one of the iterations I read, Sylvie is actually his daughter, Loki's daughter.
He gave her the power and made her chaos. You know, but Hela is his daughter.
Okay. Edward is saying, I think she has both Loki and Enchantress vibe.
Definitely had Loki garb, the hair, the crown with the missing horn, the smaller horn compared to Loki with the male Loki with the bigger horns.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Bannon is saying maybe Owen Wilson is a Thor variant. Maybe that'd be funny. Mm-hmm. Ray is saying, yeah, Sylvia is a Loki variant, had a different life. She was later and knew she was a front giant and didn't have Frigga involved in her life to teach her sorcery.
She taught herself.
And she did say that.
She said she taught herself. But that also could tell why she ain't as powerful as Loki.
Yeah.
Because our Loki, you know, he
can do a lot of stuff.
She actually seems about as powerful as the second Enchantress is.
Mm.
She actually seems about that, you know. Only thing is she's older than what the second, because the second Enchantress usually works with the young Avengers.
Mm.
So this one you can look at it and tell she's way older.
Yeah, she's probably like in her 30s.
Yeah, than what it would assume.
Like teenagers.
Yeah.
Mistress 9 is saying it's confusing. And speaking of Hela, they think they should bring her back.
Well, she died with Asgard, right? On Asgard.
Supposedly.
Right? Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about what actually happened this episode. It was kind of like a buddy comedy / dramedy type thing, and the whole thing is that they're in the timeline, they're in the TVA. Sylvie is trying to get to the golden elevators to get to the timekeepers. And I don't know what she expects she's going to be able to do when she gets in there, because she didn't really like she was fighting. And she seems like a really cool fighter. I loved her fighting moves and stuff. I was just kind of confused what she thought was going to happen once she got into the timekeepers face, because I'm like, you don't have any kind of weapon, it seems. So what are you planning to do when you get in front of them? I was kind of confused on that. But she said this plan was years in the making.
I mean, that you bring it up about what is she going to do when she get there. I see that that point to it. Definitely, she's a way better fighter than our Loki, hand to hand combat wise. I see. But
I think they're about the same. He has to usually get into it.
No, when he didn't have his knife, that first time they fought, she whooped his ass. Come on.
I don't think he was expecting.
In your good episodes, that was episode 2, right?
I know.
She gave him the beat down. They never make Loki. It's like he don't seem to have the god strength he's supposed to have. It's like they just made him be able to do the trickery stuff real good. But it's like they just said he don't need to have the other thing for the character we're gonna have him portray in this MCU. Because really, he's supposed to have God's strength.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna have to agree with Bannon on this, though. Bannon said, "I don't know. Our Loki was fighting terrific on that world. He was shooting energy blasts and stuff. See, in the TVA, he can't use his magic, right?
Yeah, magic. I'm talking about. That's why I said hand to hand. She seems like she's a better fighter than him.
And although he kind of beat her butt when they had landed where they landed, because
he was able to do the shoot and come behind her and stuff. He was able to use the trickery. I'm just saying, hand to hand, she seemed like she's a better fighter than he is.
Probably because she had a more gritty upbringing, so she probably had to use hand to hand a bit more. Okay, so we got that, and then the thing that he used to get them out, because Ravonna shows up, and for whatever reason, Sylvie thinks that they would stop it with Loki, and Ravonna's just like, yeah, you can totally kill him, go ahead. And then that's when he zaps them to another apocalyptic place, which is where where Sylvie had been hiding. And so where we get is Lamentis 1, the year 2077. And so basically it gets short circuited, or the battery stops running. Loki hides it in his magic. And from there, they have to basically try to figure out where to go to get it done. And so this kind of gives us a whole thing to get to know her and get their dynamic and kind of understand a little bit. And then also possibly get back to the TVA. So, I thought it was interesting. I also like the opening with our guard C20. I knew she'd be back, because you don't have an actress like her play a part and not have her kind of be around. So that was I want to find out what that song was. For those of you in the chat and those in the replay, if you can find me, I'll give you a shout out. But find me, what was that song playing in the beginning of the episode when they were in the restaurant? Because I really liked that song, and I want to know what that song was. And so it seems like what what Sylvie does is that, and she explains this because we also got an explanation of what her enchantment does. She says for weak-minded people, she's able, can you silence your phone, sir? For weak-minded people.
I asked your mother to take my phone with her. She just walked out the room.
Our mother.
So now I gotta hear it because she doesn't.
Yeah. So basically what we get is we get explained that with weak-minded people, she's able to just take them over and just kind of use their body. With people who are a little bit stronger, what she has to do is create a fantasy from their memories and then have them there while she's controlling their body or whatever. And so I guess C20 was a little bit of a stronger mind, but also a messed up mind, because what we get is the reveal that, hey, lady, what we get is check us out, me and the lady, for every Tuesday when we do charm reviews. And so we find out a little bit more about her power, right? And so I like the aspect of that because it seems like Loki can't do that. So he was curious about that. And we also see that she's able to create fantasies that aren't real in order to get the person distracted. What did you think about that, Damon? What did you think about her powers?
It was all right, parlor trick.
You think it's a parlor trick?
I'm just joking. It was all right. I figured it out when from the beginning though, when she was sitting there talking to C20. She was sitting there talking to her, and so I figured like, okay, she was in her head then. This is how she got it. I was just waiting to see where they were exactly. Like, was this another planet where they were, But then she told her it was Earth. So I'm like, wow.
Yeah. And that's when we get the reveal, right? Bannon is saying the woman in the cabin shooting them was hilarious. That was very hilarious. And we also got to see their different kind of dynamic. Sylvie is more gung-ho, go in there and fight. If they want to fight, let's fight. She kind of reminded me of Thor in that regard, using the kind of brute force thing. And Loki was more like diplomacy works. But that also shows their different kind of upbringing. Loki came from royalty. He learned to be a little bit more refined. And it's clear that she came from something a little bit more gritty with it.
And it's looking like she did, like maybe she was a loner wherever she came from. Like she didn't have a Thor or Lady Thor or however that world goes.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she didn't have. I'm curious as to why Loki didn't ask her if she had a Thor. You would think she would, because Loki's like a lot of big part of his life is Thor. You would think he would have asked, "Did you have a Thor?"
But also, we seen that a big part of his life was
his mom.
Too.
Like everybody.
She didn't have that. So and she wasn't really forthgiving in this whole episode. She wasn't telling him much. He was telling her a lot, but we know our Loki loved to talk. So, but she didn't give a lot away.
Yeah.
I was surprised she told him that that for stronger people she gotta actually bring a memory from them.
Yeah.
And use
I like that actually.
No, I ain't saying I like it. I said I was surprised that she actually explained that to him, told him that.
Well, he said, he was like, I need something from you. I've been very giving to you. We need to have some kind of thing that I know something about you. Hey, Red Eyes. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Chauncey and Damon, love the new hair color. Thank you. Red Eyes was also here for our WandaVision stuff. Always appreciate it. And y'all should check out Red Eyes channel, because Red Eyes also does reviews and news and things like that when it comes to Marvel and DC, which is really cool. So go check that out if you haven't. Check out Red Eyes stuff. But Red Eyes is actually pointing out that they are having a hard time watching the show. I have to say, I'm trying to do reviews for Loki on my own channel, and this show is tough to watch so far. That's very interesting. I'm curious, Red Eyes, what your issues are. What your issues are with the show, because I think we all like WandaVision. I feel like this is WandaVision in space a little bit with the magic and stuff, but I'm curious as to what your thoughts are as to why this is hard to watch for you.
WandaVision and Captain America and the Winter Soldier was it was more, every episode was more reveals. Where even though we did get the reveal about the TVA this episode, it's usually just episodes that go within the show. This show is about this show. That's what it looks like. Besides the first episode where it led us into different characters, beside the big thing that's coming with the big bad that I think is coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's just like a show within the show. We got one reveal the last episode. Everything else was like how any other episode would go.
Yeah.
From different shows. It's about what's happening. We trying to get off this planet. The thing that they have going on, getting to know each other. I think one thing, if he teaches her other things in here, then I can see that. Then I can really start grasping the Enchantress aspect of it.
Okay.
Because evidently it's obvious he knows way more when it comes to magic than she do.
Yeah.
And that could really bring me around to being like, okay, I see they thought about this enchantress thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ray, we love the Wanda crew too, and that's why we're here. And we're sorry we're doing it during your work thing, but you can always, come back and give some real long, thoughts and comments in the comment section during the replay as well. But we love having you here in the live chat. And if y'all haven't already, please do give this video a like. Likes and engagement feed the YouTube algorithm monster. He has to eat. He's like Cookie Monster, and he needs engagement, guys. So
I just had some Cookie Monster.
Yeah, for the herb kind, I'm sure. That's what it was called. Yes. But yeah, please do give this video a like and whatnot. And if you haven't, and if you want us to dive a little bit deeper into stuff, a super chat, show some super chat love. We're always appreciative of that as well. Yeah, and Red Eyes, coming back to what my question, Red Eyes saying the only important piece of information in this episode was the variant agency people were pulled from time and they weren't born there. And that's why I said earlier that I gave the episode a B, mainly because it was a shorter episode, which was very weird to me that they're halfway through the season and we're getting shorter episodes instead of longer ones. And then the fact that the only thing that was really aside from getting to know Sylvie, was the fact of the variant. And I was of the variance of everyone being a variant. And I said, that's a big reveal, but it's in the midst of nothing else kind of happening. So
that's what what you just said is what I felt about the second episode. The only thing we got was that it was a female Loki, which we already knew because they spoiled it already. That's why I said, and it wasn't. This episode had way more fighting in it. So evidently you can see that's why I gave it a B plus. Because you like more of the action. The C plus that I gave the second one.
Yes.
But what you feel about this one is exactly how I felt about.
So we just kind of reversed, yeah. Edward is pointing out they did reveal that Loki is bi during the conversation about is there someone, and that was really good. That was very good. Yeah. I feel like in the comics. I feel like in the comic books, it's a little bit more, I think, understood of that, but we hadn't gotten that be definitive in the cinematic universe. And I was really happy for that because that's very much a part of who Loki is. So
because of course kids read comics. It never was, but you knew from like the things he's done. He actually had when he have a kid, he had an 8-legged horse. Loki would do things. He lived, he would make himself look like a woman. He would do things. He actually was reborn as a woman. So
yeah,
they never blatantly put it out there, but
And this is why I also, Damon, this is my part of why I also think she's very much is a Loki, because even in that same conversation, he was like, I, as you, have done a little bit of both, I'm sure. And she agreed. So what we also understand is that our female Loki, aka Sylvie, is also bi as well. And we got that because he understood mostly all Lokis are probably bi. Because
the thing that made me question it was her asking him when she said that, so is this how a Loki act? Is that how a Loki would act? Is that what a Loki would do? Mm-hmm. When she asked him that,
I feel like she was kind of teasing him though, because she was just kind of like, "Oh, is that what Lokis do?" Like, like I'm supposed to just fall into this.
I didn't get the sarcasm, and I felt like it was more a question.
Yeah,
he was trying to find out, like find out about him. So is that what a Loki would think? Is that what a Loki? You know what I mean? That's. So I figured she was genuine with it, but she could have been. It could have been. They do a lot of little quims towards each other.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I got kind of like the sibling twin vibe from them a little bit, because especially when she goes up, she's like, and he's like on her neck, and he's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "What are you doing?" And it's just like a whole thing. I was like, okay, that's cute. It's funny. Michael Damian is saying, I thought it was a great character development episode. It's wild how the apocalypse is such a minor detail when dealing with time. I give it a B plus. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of the background thing, the apocalypse, the world is saying, until, as we found out in this episode, they couldn't get off the planet because the thing is shot and dead. They can't fix it. And
it's broke, actually.
It's broke now. And the thing is that the thing they were trying to get off the ship with, off the planet with, also they didn't make it in time. Which, okay, so I did have another thing about this with Loki's powers, because he was able to stop a building from falling and stuff like that with, I guess, some type of force field, and then he also was able to push it back up. My question is, why didn't he use that for the ship? And didn't he used to be able to teleport, or am I making that up in my head? I felt like he was able to move from different places.
I mean, when he did that in this episode. It wasn't like a great distance, but he was able to phase out and then reappear right behind her.
So why didn't he do that for? I guess I'm asking this for some of the choices they made.
Can't take a person. Maybe he can't phase out with two people.
So
maybe he couldn't take her with him.
Okay. But even when they were fighting and they had to fight and and he's like able to push this building up, why didn't he just push everyone in front of them away? He could have literally just done, if he was able to push a building up, why couldn't he just do some type of force field to push everyone from in front of them?
We know. This is in every superhero movie. They never do the things they could do to make it easier on themselves. We know this. It gotta be the hard way. It's more.
I just felt like that was a little inconsistent
for the watcher to see him fight than to see him just.
But then it doesn't make sense when the whole point is they have to literally get to where that ship is, and they waste all that time fighting when he could have just pushed them away. He literally pushes the whole building up again, but he can't push these people from in front of them.
Hey.
I was just like,
if we went through movies where people could have done other things and didn't do it.
I guess. I just thought that was weird to show it in the same. I mean, it's okay if you do it in one episode and then the next episode he can suddenly do that. I'd understand that as inconsistent. It was just weird that in the same episode they have that inconsistency there. I'm like, wait a minute. He just pushed this whole building back up. He can't do that with these people in front of them so they can get to the ship. I was just like, it's weird. He's kind of choosing to show his magic here and there. Bannon is questioning whether or not the teleportation device is actually broke or not. Bannon saying, but is it really broke, or is that just Loki being Loki? So do you think that Loki has some other plan and it's kind of just trying to get Sylvie to,
He could have another plan because it's Loki. That's the one thing you can never cancel that out.
Yeah.
But if I was thinking he was a reformed Loki, I would think that, because I've seen it break apart, I would think that it's destroyed. But that's a good thing, right? That's a good question right there, Bannon.
Yeah, and in terms of what I was saying about the fighting, Bannon is saying because they wanted something dramatic to show us that power, since it was the first time he has ever been able to use it. That too, but it was like, okay, if you're going to use it, then he better use it on these people. It just seemed a little weird, and they still didn't get to the ship. So I'm like, okay, sure. What did you think? And let us know in the chat and also on the replay, y'all. Damon, what did you think of the fact that he got drunk on the ship?
I mean, I understood when he said, he said, I'm hedonistic.
Hedonistic. He's like, that's what I do. I get drunk. I'm a god that gets drunk.
He was like
Dionysus. Like the real Dionysus, like the god of wine and pleasure, I guess. And it was funny because Sylvie was like, well, I'm hedonistic and probably way more than you, I'm sure. But I get drunk I don't get drunk when it's important. And that was very interesting.
But you see, that's where you could see the difference. She said, like you're not serious. She basically was saying you're not, when it's time to be serious, you be serious. Well, you know him. He reminds me of an aristocratic superhero. You know what I mean? You could tell he's the god that used to being praised. He's used to, because everything is nonchalant with Loki.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's always time to do this. I've been, and where she comes from, it's not.
Yeah. I actually thought when he got drunk that was like some kind of like trick. Like he was going to act like he was drunk, but then he was trying to figure out a way to get to something. And like, that's why he was singing the way he was and stuff like that. And that it was a trick to be like, oh, pay attention to this thing. And when it turned out that he was just drunk to be drunk, I was like, what? Like he just got drunk to be drunk. Like, okay, there wasn't part of some bigger plan here. It's weird because there are times when they show he's so smart and he has so much other stuff going on in his head, and other times when he just kind of does something kind of dumb. And it's like, what is the truth? I think it's both. Of course, I'm just being dramatic when I say that. I know it's both. It was just weird that he used that time to get drunk, like, and to really not be paying attention, you know? Red Eye saying that's a good call. It may be a trick in terms of what Loki may be doing. Remember, Loki faked his own death in Thor 2. That's true. Edward is saying it was classic Loki, so a Thor thing to do. I'm not sure. I was also wondering what that song was he was singing. Was that Asgardian he was singing, or Norse or Celtic?
I don't know, but he was talking. Whatever he was talking, she understood what he was saying.
Yeah.
You know. See, I wanted her to actually say that she was born on Asgard.
But she wasn't, right? Because if she was adopted, she was born somewhere else, just like that Loki was.
Or either that she was from where he from?
That dark world. I forgot what world that was.
Something with an LL,
yeah.
Right? Lahayim or something? Not Lahayim.
I don't remember.
But he was something with an LL, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Damon saying he is the god of mischief, Mistress 9010. I thought that too, and that there was some messages. I was like the whole thing. I was like, is this just a moment to have him sing? And that's why I go back to the fact that this was a short episode, and there was like 2 minutes of him singing, and it didn't really mean anything except the fact that he got drunk. And I'm like, that's a little bit of a waste of time, isn't it?
I thought maybe it was going to take her back to thinking about something or something.
It was weird. Red Eye saying, do we think it's weird that no one ever met these so-called time gods but do their bidding? Do we think these people really exist? And I think that's the question too. And this is where, Tony saying the Thor, the Dark World was really bad. It was one of the least very, yes, it was. The first two Thors weren't that great, to be honest. Ragnarok was probably the best in my opinion, but I think they're gonna run it into the ground with this fourth one. I think Love and Thunder is gonna be horrible, to be honest, y'all. Just in what I think are everything they're throwing into it, I think it's gonna be a horrible movie. So I'm worried. You know, that's just my tangent on Thor for a second there.
Honestly, when they brought the Hela person back, actually, when that movie first was coming out, I was thinking that was gonna be Enchantress just with some new headgear or something. Yeah, that's his enemy.
Yeah.
You know, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Okay. So we get the fact that right now, at the end of this episode, they're basically stuck on this thing. It looks like the apocalypse is about to happen. And there was some real crazy inequality going on that planet where the rich were trying to get off, but luckily, I guess they didn't get off either, or not luckily, but it seems like they're stuck on the planet right now. They weren't able to get off. So we got to see what's going to happen in episode 4 of that. But there were some other things that came up. And because this is a short episode, like I said, I feel like it leaves it open to, we have to talk about some of the theories and the potential things that this could be, right? For one, who's the big bad? We asked you all that in the beginning, and some of you had some answers. The interwebs seem to be thinking that it might be Ravana, that Ravana is actually doing the bidding of his name. What's his name, Damon? What's his name? Say it.
His name is Kang the Conqueror.
Kang the Conqueror. And that this is some type of other thing. Yeah. That it's Kang the Conqueror that they are doing, that she's doing the bidding of, and that she's really actually part of being the big bad. Others are pretty much thinking it's Kang as well. What do you think, Damon? Do you think, and let us know in the chat and also in the replay, since it doesn't seem that Sylvie is the big bad, unless some of you still think Sylvie is the big bad, do you think Ravana is part of the big bad? And that she's working with Kang in this one? Do you think we're going to get a Kang connection in this season?
I said this in the second thing. I said I'm making my Mephisto moment and saying that Kang is the big bad. But I don't know if they're going to actually show him in this. But I believe he will be hinted to as the reason of what's going on. I believe that. I'm starting to think that either they're going to just switch everything with this TVA and actually make them the whole TVA bad, or they're just going to have Kang running his own version of something like the TVA, and instead of having clones and stuff, he actually goes and takes people and makes them, because he wants if you think about it, Kang, he's a conqueror. He wants to be in control of everything. So if he could be the only in control, the only people that travel through time, if he could have a way of stopping that, he would.
Why play the low-key game, though? Low-key. But, low-key game. Why do this? Because it seems like they are running the TVA regularly. It seems like they're just kind of getting rid of variants and things like that. Does that sound like something that's some sinister, bigger plan necessarily? Because Ravonna seems like she's just going about the motions. It doesn't seem like there's some bigger thing going on.
Think about this. Think about if he allows someone to call that time, instead of the thing he's saying where everything's going to mess up. What that actually does is alert the real timekeepers to what's going on. So to avoid that,
so you think Kang is doing something behind the scenes, and that Ravonna is helping run things? So it seems like it's business as usual.
I'm saying this could actually be his version of a TVA.
So you don't think this is the real TVA?
Yeah, I don't think it is. Unless, like I said,
you think there's another TVA somewhere?
I think it might be the real TVA, where you might have actual clones. And I mean, even though we know that the time, well, we don't know in this MCU, because like I said, they do what they want. We all know in the comics the timekeepers, they're not good, they're not bad. They do things that work for them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
for those of you who are wondering, I'm showing a picture from the video from the cartoon we got of the timekeepers. And a lot of people think the middle one is Kang the Conqueror. It looks very much like him. That middle one is Kang, actually. So that might be him or not. Also, I wanted to highlight what Bannon just said about they lost me with who's playing Lady Thor. I agree. I didn't need her to come back to the franchise. I just wanted to point that out. No, I like Natalie Portman and everything else. I could not stand her in Thor.
Oh, so you didn't want Natalie Portman to come?
I didn't need her back. I wanted Valkyrie to get more play, and it feels like Valkyrie's probably going to get pushed to the side for all these other characters they're adding. So I'm not a fan of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Excuse my kitty. Pato always likes to make an appearance. Ray is saying, it's funny how time changes when they develop the storyline for Loki. Sexuality, bisexuality was the best word that they could use, but that is not accurate in today's world, according to the writers. Well, that's interesting. Ray is saying, Loki on MCU has been described as fluid, and depending on where they go with it, queer is probably the best bet to fight someone, and I'm glad to have representation. I hope it remains part of him. I agree. Let's see what you all are saying about the big bad. Tony is saying it's really hard to tell, to be honest. Bannon is saying, I think Ravonna is connected to the big bad, but I think she may be a tool or a patsy, a part of it. I think I'm leaning more on that myself too. I definitely think that Pato. I definitely think that Ravonna is part of it. I don't think she knows, though. If there's truth to what the reveal says, that people who are in the TVA have basically had their memories wiped. The question then is, does Ravonna know that her memories have been wiped? Or is she in on it? Does she remember who she was before? Or maybe she does not. And maybe that's where her connection to Kang comes from, because maybe Kang comes in something. I think the two things that's going to determine this with Ravonna, I think it's going to be determined on if she actually knows who she was before this. On who the big bad is, I think it's going to be revealed and based off of why Sylvie wants to get in front of the timekeepers. Why does she want to bring everything down? Is it simply because she doesn't want to be controlled? Or is it because there's something bigger at play and she knows what it's about? And I really hope that they don't take all of till end of episode 6 to reveal what that is, to be honest.
Look, it ain't like it's a long way to go. Shit, we on episode 3. We just did episode 3.
Yeah, but it seems weird, and someone actually said this in the chat, that it seems weird that that they spent another episode where they didn't get off of this planet, right? And it's like, okay, a whole nother episode when we only have 6. Yes, Pato. Where we only have 6 episodes and we leave on a cliffhanger of them not getting off the planet. So does that mean the next episode is going to be all about them getting off the planet? Can we really afford another episode like that?
This is the thing. I don't think it's a lot of material right here for it to need. If they only made it 6 episodes, it's not a lot of material for them to make 8.
So do you think that it's more so this is just a means to an end?
Yeah, or they showed us this episode to stretch it out. Maybe they're gonna make them stay on the planet for 2 episodes.
So what do you think this is for then? What do you think the point of this season is then? If it's not that much there?
Is that we found out that all these people in the TVA are actually time variants themselves. Because that's what she called them, right? She said they ran by variants. I mean, it's they're variants themselves because they come from other places in time, brought into the null zone or whatever.
So do you think this whole thing was just to bring about maybe an introduction to Kang and the TVA, and they just used Loki to do it?
Probably so.
Well, that'd be disappointing.
or maybe somehow at the end of this, Loki gets or becomes able to influence the timelines in some way that'll make this relevant to whatever multiverse or whatever things that's coming up.
Okay,
I think that's what this is right here. Is to try to link this show to the movies that's coming up.
Okay, Red Eyes is saying there's no way to choose a big bad this early because the show hasn't given us much so far. But this is the thing, Red Eyes. There's only 6 episodes.
See, this is what I'm saying. And I said I'm fully aware that the MCU do what it wants to do.
Yes.
But to bring a character like Ravonna into this, I mean, like, it would just be like them saying, okay, we have the power, we could do this. Even though it's no link to her in the comics to the TVA, besides through Kang the Conqueror, because Kang had the link to the TVA because the timekeepers would use him to do certain stuff. They having problems with say the Avengers. Instead of showing themselves, they'll use Kang the Conqueror or Immortus or one of them type characters who travel through time or who are time travelers like Ravonna is, but she became a time traveler because of Kang, because of the power Kang gave to her.
Mm-hmm.
So to have her in this, it would have to be Kang. Kang would have to be around some way, unless they just took the liberty and said, since it got something to do with time travel, we're gonna find this time. We're gonna bring this female time traveling character and just throw her in this, take her whole history away. But then they're trying to. It could be because now they're saying that their minds was wiped. Mm-hmm. So now it could be that she was a princess somewhere.
Yeah, and then she was she became a variant somehow.
Yeah, her mind was but for her to become a variant to I believe Kang would have to be involved in that somehow.
Mistress 9 is saying, I think Sylvie is on a personal revenge mission instead of knowing who the big bad is and going after them. I'm going to play devil's advocate here just a little bit because it's interesting what Damon brings up. And this isn't to tease him, but this is more so I'm going to connect this to the Mephisto thing. And not like that, Damon. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to connect it in saying that remember when the whole thing with Agatha, how many people thought that Agatha was the one that was helping Mephisto, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone thought that it was Agatha, but more so that Agatha was connected to Mephisto. It wasn't just you. It's a lot of other people who were saying that if Agatha is there, it has to be.
That made me connect Mephisto.
I'm using this as an example, though. I'm using the Mephisto thing as an example. That Agatha was connected to Mephisto, and that's why people thought Mephisto was coming. And I think this may be what people may fall into with Ravonna as well in regards to Kang. There's this idea, and Marvel might be doing this to do that, right? in the sense that, okay, Ravonna's here, that must mean that Kang's here. And I think that's the same thing that people thought with Agatha. They thought, well, Agatha's here, that must mean Mephisto's here, because she was connected to that plot line of her having to convince, let me finish, Damon, that she was connected to that plot line of telling Wanda that, that her babies weren't real and they were part of Mephisto, that Agatha was the one that told her that. So if Agatha's here, that must mean that this is connected to Mephisto, because that's what happened in the comics. And I feel like people may make that same, I don't want to say mistake, I want to say people are going to make that they're falling into the same thing, that if they're focusing so hard on Ravonna, that they're basically bringing in Kang immediately into this thing. And I don't think we're going to get Kang in this. I honestly don't think that any of these TV shows have any intention of revealing any huge big bad for the movies. Although there may be a reference, I don't think any of the TV shows are going to reveal any huge big bad. I think the first time we're going to see Kang is in Ant-Man and Wasp for some reason, but they're putting it in Ant-Man and Wasp. And I think that's the first time we're going to see them. Mistress Nine is also pointing out that we are all Mephisto. Yes. We are all Mephisto.
See.
And right, I say, you can say mistake, Chauncey. Yes. And it was a mistake. But I say it was because we were going by what Marvel was giving us in the MCU, right? We were like, well, of course. And I think we may be doing the same thing. I think the interwebs of the world and those of us who are watching it may be doing the same thing with Ravonna. I think there's probably something way more simple. I think Ravonna is part of it, but I don't think it's necessarily indirect thing to Kang.
See, Agatha, she's different from Ravonna in the thing that only thing that really connected her and what's the name was that they was witches. I don't think it's anything here to connect Ravonna too. Without at some point, you ain't got to show him. I said I don't think he's going to make an appearance. And I said that, but I believe it's already hinting to him. Regardless of what anybody says, every time at the end of every episode, right before it goes through the black screen where they actually show the credits, the last photo or pictures thing going off is the face of that one keeper.
Did that happen this episode? I didn't see that this episode. Yes, when? I only think the last thing I saw was the ship blow up.
Right. No, I'm talking about when the credits are going on at the end, where they show the office, like the lady writing, they show the TVA office. Mm-hmm. At the end, at the credits are rolling up before it get to the black screen where the credits roll up about the Gaston and all that shit. You know what I'm talking about? Right at the end when it's going when it first started going off and they're showing, I guess, the cast names and stuff or whatever. Not the
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, always at the end. When it ends, it always ends on that one timekeeper. The one that looks like Kang. Okay.
So you think that it will be revealed that Ravonna is connected to Kang?
Yeah.
So you think
look. That's what I believe, but it might not. And if it don't, I just had to be like, oh, well, that's just another Marvel thing that they do. They feel there's no need to do that. We're gonna start this character off, get to know her. Her name's Ravonna. She's the TVA thing. They kidnapped her from another place and brought her here. Yeah, that she was a variant. She did something and she became a variant. And then she finds out later she was a princess. Yeah, they could do that. But from the Earth she comes from, it's not. They still living like kings and queens. It's not. I mean, they have like weapons and stuff, but it's like not like our Earth is. So I'm wondering what did she do to actually variant from Tom from that planet? What did any of them do? That's the real question. True. Bannon is saying it's probably like Wanda, a character developer show and strengthening show that will get the characters ready for the future movies and their places in them. I definitely think we'll probably see Loki, maybe if this Loki survives in Doctor Strange and stuff like that. I definitely could see that happen. They're not gonna kill him off. They already killed him off.
Yeah. Ray is saying, hate to play Mephisto advocate, Damon Salvatore, but I think Kang should. Damon Salvatore. That's a Vampire Diaries. But I think Kang should show up in TVA or multiverse first, not Ant-Man. I'd rather have a time villain involved in time and space centered series. I agree with you. It's the same reason why if I was not against it being Mephisto and WandaVision, I would have been fine with that. But for whatever reason, Marvel, Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, doesn't seem to
that situation.
That's what I mean. Kevin Feige doesn't seem to be wanting to put the big major villains in any of the TV series for some reason. Like Ray is pointing out, who are even Ant-Man villains? I have no idea. I love Paul Rudd. I do love Paul Rudd. I just think it's kind of a waste to introduce Kang in there.
Gigant. I think his name is Gigantus or something. That's one of Ant-Man villains. Stop. Look, Ant-Man is not as little as a character that the MCU try to make him out to be. They pick and choose who they want to be big characters.
It's the same reason why they made Iron Man as important as he was, and we all know he's a Walmart Batman.
I give you that. He's not. In the comics, he's not as big as they make him out to be.
No, exactly. And MCU chose because they had Robert Downey Jr. to make him huge.
Not only that, is because they started off with going back to tell his father's story, so the son has to be as big as the father. The father was a big thing when it comes to Marvel in the MCU. Think about it.
Yeah.
So they had to make the son at least as equal. That's why the MCU.
But I think
they could have had a better. They could have,
But I think what we're saying, Damon, is that Ant-Man and Wasp is kind of also the equivalent of sometimes how. How Guardians of the Galaxy turned into kind of the comedy, lower class relief, the B movie of the Marvel
I'm just saying that's
so why put Kang? Why introduce Kang in a B movie MCU? That's the question.
I don't know. Maybe because he's the black villain. Say no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
But, he can't get introduced in one of the main movies.
No, because maybe they finally realizing that Henry Pym was. I mean, even though they're not using the Henry Pym Ant-Man character, they're going to the new guy Adam. What is Lang? Scott Lang, right?
I think so.
So they're going with the burglar. Man, it's okay. Look, all this, I think, is to bring in the younger comic book readers. So they're going with the ones who they can relate to more than the ones that I can relate to.
Okay,
that's why you have a Sylvie instead of an Amora.
Because Amora was the first Enchantress.
Because that's the Enchantress I can relate to. But the Young Avengers Enchantress, who the kids can relate to, who also getting their parents to pay to go see these movies, they can relate to her better.
Yeah.
Even though she's 30 years old.
Yeah. But, Tony Movie is saying, I don't know about you guys, but the one thing I'm looking forward to is She-Hulk is the return of Tim. Yeah, I'm excited for She-Hulk too. Yeah. Although they seem to be making it potentially like a crime procedural. That's what I heard, that it's more like a crime procedural kind of show.
Like
She-Hulk.
Like Law and Order? What do you mean?
Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of curious to see how they do that.
She's going to be like Jessica Jones. She's going to be a detective, look like that. Like
maybe, I don't know.
I like it, Jessica Jones. If they do it anything like that, it might be a hit.
Yeah. Red Eyes is saying, I've learned my lesson with WandaVision.
The stop look.
Like the not dream big.
Red Eyes. You got to just, hey, this is what it's looking like. I'm gonna just throw it out there. Hey, all you can do is be wrong, right?
Yeah.
Just throw it out.
Red Eyes also hates Guardians of the Galaxy, so there's that. So I don't know. Unpopular. Let us know your unpopular Marvel opinions, y'all.
I like Star-Lord, right? I like that guy. He's cool.
Yes, Ben, and I am 100% right about Iron Man.
Why is so much hate for Iron Man?
Because even in the comic books, he's whack. Even in the comic books, he be on that right wing stuff. It's whack. It's whack. He be making a lot of bad decisions. And then we supposed to believe he's still the hero in this. Like, no. Okay. So we got a lot of theories going on. In terms of what I'm thinking, I do think Ravonna is a part of it. I think what we have to see is what happens with Sylvie has to reveal a bit more. We didn't get a lot of reveal from Sylvie this episode of why she wants to do what she wants to do to the timekeepers. So I I don't know if we're going to find out she used to work for them and then she deflected. She called them omnipotent fascists, right? Which was very interesting. And LB, I am very curious to see how she describes them, because she seems to have the 411 on maybe their real purpose and what they do. And we all already know that there's some issues with the fact that they clearly are taking people from taking variants, wiping their memories, and then making them Minutemen. So
basically, they're lying to people. They're doing they're doing stuff that they don't want nobody to know about. You know what I mean? A lot of craziness. They're acting real big brotherish, and that's what they was meant to do. That's how they wanted them to be portrayed.
Yeah. Well, you explained it in one of the previous streams, Damon, that in the comics, TVA is actually happened twice, because wasn't a TVA also destroyed? Because didn't one of the TVAs become corrupt or something?
Yeah, the one. Well, not corrupt. The TVA now, the one that we know now, they'll say that the timekeepers, it was nothing before the timekeepers came and made the timeline.
Yeah.
But in the comic book thing of it, the timeline was destroyed the first time. The last one of the last person left, only one guy was left out of the whole TVA of that last time, and he created the timekeepers. He actually created the time twisters first, then he created the timekeepers to make up for the mistake that the time twisters made. I guess from there on, from that timeline on, that's where you have the TVA, the timekeepers. I guess in turn made the TVA, who in the comics are all clones. So you have the Minutemen where they used to wear like the masses on, so face.
So do you think in MCU this is the first version, or is this the second version?
It got to be the second version, because it's the timekeepers there.
Well, you know how they like to combine stuff.
They do what they want. But I mean, that's what I mean by just they will basically be even though they're saying, "Oh, we got them from the comic book," but if you are basically inventing these people, you giving them their own history. So all you did was take the name and maybe how they look from the comics, but you invented their whole history now. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the way it looks like that's what they're gonna have to do with the mutants anyway. So why not test it out here?
Yeah, just kind of picking which one they're gonna pick. Michael Damian earlier, which I highlighted, said that he doesn't think Loki is gonna make it through the season. He thinks that this is gonna be a one-off and that Loki's gonna die. Ray is saying that this is gonna be our new Loki since ours is dead and he is such a beloved character. This is the retcon of thanks to the Titans, Debo bodying him, and now we will have this one Gamora.
Honestly, Loki might be the only thing they sticking to with the comics, because Loki has died and been reborn so many fucking times. You know what I mean? He dies. Loki died at the end of every series, every comic book series or something.
Yeah.
Any little saga they do, Loki dies at the end, but he'll be back.
Mistress Nine saying if Loki doesn't become a good villain, then he should die. Okay.
You know he's gonna be a good villain.
And Red Eyes is saying the TVA is basically the first 3 seasons on Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow. That show. All right, y'all. I think we covered everything from this episode pretty much. We got some questions. I guess we'll find out next week on whether or not what the bigger situation is. And I just hope, my hope is that they don't draw this out to the last episode. I know. We only have 3 episodes left, 4, 5, 6. I just hope that Sylvie kind of reveals why she wants to destroy. That's the only thing I wanted. I was like, why does she want to destroy the TVA? So I'm hoping that they discover that. But I did like that we got the reveal about the TVA and the variants, because I was kind of figuring that out by the second episode, that there was something going on there. And we also got a confirmation that Loki is bi. So that was very cool. Or queer, depending on how you want to.
Maybe Loki actually takes over the TVA and runs it the right way.
You think they're going to put Loki as the TVA timekeeper?
Why not?
I mean, that's not in the comics at all, Damon. They'd have to change so much stuff to do that.
I'm already off of they're not. Come on, Loki with the TVA ain't in the comics. It's Thor. so it's already different.
Well, yeah, Thor was the one that was in TVA.
But... it's already different. It's already different.
Okay.
Now, if I said Thor taking over the TVA, it'd have been a good thing. So now we got to reform Loki. Think about it.
Maybe.
Really, he's really the character. People like this character.
Yeah, people love Loki.
Really gonna kill him off and just get rid of him?
No, they're not. They want to keep Hiddleston on contract. Yeah, exactly. Red Eyes is saying, can we all agree that so far Falcon and Winter Soldier is the best Marvel Disney show so far? I disagree. I think it's WandaVision.
WandaVision is the best one. But
WandaVision is the best one.
We can't call him Falcon no more.
No, we can't. He's Captain America.
Captain America. So the second best is definitely Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Well, we've only had two so far. Loki's not done.
We got this one.
So you already put him in third place?
If they don't show Kang at the end, it's number 3.
Already, just number 3.
Kang at the end, shit. This might jump past Wanda.
It would honestly jump past Wanda if they show Kang at the end.
Yeah, it's jump past Wanda.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't expect to see. You know what's funny? They might mess around and actually have a big bag in that
She-Hulk.
No, what's the girl?
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. Because
no one's gonna be watching that except teenagers.
This Miss Marvel, I'm about to say this Miss Marvel is completely.
She's 14.
I gotta go. I gotta start reading the books on her. I'm like this.
I have some of her comics actually in physical form. I think it's okay. I'm not, and like I said, it's for the kids. It's for 14. It's for teenagers.
It's new.
I wasn't really feeling the Miss Marvel stuff that I was reading. So, but that's another thing. Okay. All right. So y'all let us know in the comment section what your predictions are. And as always, if you haven't already, please give this video a like, give it a thumbs up, feed the algorithm monster. He needs to be fed. And also if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe as well, because I do a lot of their things with that and stuff like that. Here when it comes to videos, we do Charmed on Mondays and probably moving to Tuesdays for the Charmed, but we do Charmed during the week with our mother, Karen Robinson, as well. And Titans is actually coming back in August. And I have decided that I would, God willing, of course, I would like to do the weekly ones on Titans as well. So if you guys are anticipating Titans coming back, the DC show, cross our fingers that it's way better in season 3 than it had been in season 2, because season 2 was atrocious of Titans. Then join us then as well. Ray is saying, I forgot the ship talk segment. There's no ship talk segment on Loki. There's nothing to ship.
People were saying, what? That, but like you said, if you get more of a twin vibe, then
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of weird. I don't know what they're trying to do, because Marvel hardly does.
And B-15.
I think that would be more of a thing. Honestly, I kind of saw that kind of thing they had going on.
Or we already know that Mobius likes Ravonna.
Yeah, we know that.
So
I don't know. I'm not completely sure, y'all. I think Marvel is so bad when it comes to romance, to be honest. It's either so blatant. It's either so blatant or it's non-existent. Non-existent.
Not only are they really bad, they like stealing people men's from their wives.
Oh yeah, because of Hulk, right? I don't know what that was.
Married. That is a man.
He is with Betty, y'all, and they really did that thing with him and Black Widow. It was like it was like, really, yeah. So
no, they did their thing. I mean, even though that's in the comic book, so they went with it with Scarlet Witch and what's her name?
Yes. See, when they do romance, they actually do it quite well, but they rarely do romance. So there's that. All right, y'all. But like, yes, Loki and Valkyrie would be nice. I would like that too. But who knows what they're doing with this fourth season, this fourth movie.
So that means
I felt like it was supposed to be Valkyrie and Thor, the way they were moving it. But now that Natalie Portman is back, as Lady Thor, they're gonna revitalize that romance, and it's just it's silly.
Well, actually, in the comic books, he cheats on her with Valkyrie.
Well, one can hope. He
also. I
think they're the better match. I think Ragnarok showed us that Valkyrie and Thor had way more chemistry than he had with Natalie Portman's character. But I don't know. So who knows?
In the comics, Thor slept with Hela too.
Yeah, Thor was a hoe.
He's the god of love.
Yeah. So who knows? All right, y'all. Well, thank you all for joining us, and those of you who are joining us in the replay. We could talk Marvel stuff all day long. We really could, and DC stuff, of course.
Coming soon, Fried Disciples. We're gonna do the Cobra Kai thing is coming back. We're gonna start off probably with a lead up that lead us into this new season that's about to come up.
Yeah, season 4, Cobra Kai, Fry Disciples. The link to their channel is in the description already, I believe, and in the previous live stream description if it's not there, for you to, subscribe already and get that early seat for when they start talking Cobra Kai, because they will be doing a recap of seasons 1 through 3 and then following season 4 when it comes out. So you guys can check that out. And for those of you who are herb lovers, as they are connoisseurs, you can join in on that. They do a puff pass or whatever it is during certain segments of talking. You do it at home. They don't do it. If they do it, then we'll never finish the show. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, stay safe out there and enjoy the summer as it goes on.
Yes. Excelsior.
Excelsior.